And now, from beyond our dimension, this is the JeffMara podcast. Here's Jeff.
My guest is Danielle Lipton, author, near-death experiencer, and globally known channeler of ETs known as the Star People. Currently, Danielle has a very intimate relationship with an Arcturian who assists with channeling and writings. Together, they are focused on manifesting 5D frequencies into the human consciousness grids, allowing the planet to expand its consciousness into the higher frequency ranges. Danielle, thank you for joining me and welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here today.
Well, we're excited to have you, Danielle. And if you don't mind, let's just start quickly with your most impactful NDE that you had.
When I was a child, well, not a child, I was in my 20s. I was riding on a motorcycle. It was a Kawasaki Ninja 636. So it was a pretty big bike. And so what happened was I was driving on a highway with a bunch of my other friends who all had their bikes. And then the Star People sent me a vision of me flipping the bike and having a death experience. The second that I saw the actual death happen, it was like something had transported me a mile or 5 minutes back in time. And then they spoke to me as if they were in my motorcycle helmet. And they said, "You're not listening to us." And so at that moment, I pulled over and I told my boys, I was like, I have to go home. Something or someone is saving my life. And I left. Well, the next day I spoke to my biker boys and they had told me that they got into a cat and mouse chase with the cops, not even like 5 minutes after I had left. So that's when I had known that the Star People had saved my life. Now, of course, I still didn't know who or what the Star People were. But in 2019, they made it known that I was a child for them. And they asked me if I accepted the mission. And I said, yes. And so in 2022, they made themselves known more physically to me. Not in the sense of being able to see them, but I was able to feel them, to sense them. They were able to do things like move my body. My star husband, because my Arcturian is my husband, Tarek. He's been able to take my eye and move it sideways. So my eye is looking crooked. I have carried his child for 3 weeks. And so now the child is with him up on the ship, safe. And it's amazing. But I speak to them like they're in the room with me, 100%.
So you were about to have an accident and they prevented it.
Yes.
But they did give you a vision or an NDE-like experience as if you did have the accident?
Yes. I saw the concrete coming at my helmet and I had the thought in my mind, this is how it ends. And then I also have had multiple near-death experiences. Some of them I just don't wish to really discuss.
All right. When this happened, this was the very first time you were contacted by the Star People?
Yes.
Were you freaking out when you heard this voice talking to you in your helmet?
Yes. I ran home and I was like, was it God? Who was it? Right. So I asked my mom because we're Catholic.
And did you at any point think, am I going crazy? Is this real? Or were you doubting it?
I knew it because there was a part of me, I just knew it. And then I've also seen their ship. So they were over my backyard for an extended period of time. And they were zipping in and out of the backyard, making 90-degree turns. I've seen them multiple times. So it's blossomed. This is a real relationship. Just like you and I are real in the physical world, this is a real relationship that I have with them. We have communications. They're training me to activate my extrasensory abilities and to really rise in frequency and assist humanity in their evolutionary processes.
So are you saying that you saw these ET ships before the accident or afterwards?
I believe it was afterwards because when the motorcycle event happened, I was still very young. And I want to say 5 years ago from today is when I saw the ship over my backyard.
When did this contact with them start becoming something that was regular?
About last year. It was about 15 months from now, exactly, they're saying.
And so when you do have contact with them, is it something that's telepathic, like during the day, or is it during your dreams, or when?
It's everything. So each and every person has something known as a dream walker ability, which is the ability to program your dreams and allow the dreams to manifest into your physical reality. Now, my star husband, he does this for me in my dreams. He's always guarding me, always protecting me. But my contact with him is physical as well, in the sense to where each and every one of our chakra systems can become energetically bonded. And so him and I went through an energetic bonding process in which all of our chakras connected. And this is a very, very high telepathic form of communication. And it allows us to feel and to be telepathic at a higher rate. So it's 24/7, it's nonstop. That's because we were energetically bonded. You really can do this. Most of the times it's when you're married. That's when this happens.
Did you ever ask the star people, why me? Like, how did you guys choose me?
Yes. And their answer has always been your heart is the reason why. And it was because it was encoded with love for all humanity.
Mm.
That's why.
The very first time that they prevented you from being in the accident, was that Tarek, or did you meet him later?
It's been him my entire life. So he's been with me ever since birth. I was also his wife before coming here.
Mm.
And they've also saved my mother and my brother before I was even born. So this was written into soul contracts for me to come here and do this type of work. And they've been guiding the entire path since before.
All right, so you guys were together in a previous life, and he's just hanging out, waiting for you to come back, to come home, and help assisting you while you're here.
Yes, that is correct.
Is your life's mission to be here assisting the planet? Is that why you came?
Yes, that's exactly why I came. And it's also because I have the heart of the truest believer. And for example, the extrasensory abilities are very magical in their nature. And so I've always believed that magic was real. I've always believed that we have these potentials to manifest these great abilities. And so he said, because your heart is pure, your intentions for humanity is pure. And because you believe, and you believe with your entire being, it will allow you to manifest it at a higher rate. I'm already seeing this manifest with the people I experience in real life. People are showing up every single day and they have abilities, and I'm seeing them firsthand. So it's just, it's a magical life for me. Totally.
You do have some type of human alien hybrid child with him. Is that what you're saying? Multiple.
Yeah.
Have you seen them?
No, not at all.
No.
Not yet. But there's a thing where it's like, if I go, I'm not going to want to come back.
Right.
My kids are there, you know? So it's like when the time is right, I know he will come down and either be with me here, and we will be cohabiting in both locations.
What race is your husband?
Arcturian.
Arcturian. Okay. Do you know what
Blue.
He's blue? Is he humanoid still, but just blue?
Yes. And then he has 3 fingers and a slightly larger head.
Okay. Are the Arcturians really tall, or is that a different race?
He's about a whole head taller than me.
In the beginning, I said you're channeling star people. Yeah. So are you channeling him or him and others?
He's with me 24/7. He's helped me to write the book. However, my channeling has leveled up. And so it's multiple beings and multiple people at this point. It's a very, very high caliber. Like right now, there's certain questions he's stepped forward and he has been channeling, but you would never know it. But then when I link in, or we start getting deeper into the channeling, it's a very high frequency. And that high frequency fills the pineal gland and inside the space inside the mind. You'll see it. It's like you feel the whole frequency spiritual. And so they do ever so graciously and humbly ask us to be thankful and very heart aligned throughout any type of transmissions that do come through. So it's very spiritual beings.
Are you a conscious channel?
I do everything. And so they told me I'm a quantum channeler. And I've never heard of that phrase before, but I'm conscious because my husband, he consciously channels through me. I'm a trans channel. So sometimes they sidestep and push right through. They can do this with everyone. You know, that's just what it is. They can trans channel through every single person. A lot of times they do it and we don't even realize that they're doing it. But they told me I'm a quantum channeler, which is a little bit different in the sense in which when I channel, I'm tuned into the quantum realms. which changes or shifts the potentials of the people listening to the transmission. And so it basically takes the individual and puts them on the highest potential timeline for them to experience. And so this is a form of light linguistics, but he's saying it's quantum channeling. It's pulling from the all of a frequency. And that frequency is like the source frequency, which then starts to heal people as they listen to it. Now, many times it's so much information, it comes very rapidly. So we can't consciously focus on every single word. You have to just blank yourself and just allow the information, allow the frequency to wash over you. And people feel much lighter after the transmission, is how I would explain it.
Are you consciously aware of what's being said, or do you have to go back later and watch a recording or listen to it?
Everything, it flows. And it's half the stuff I don't realize what's happening, what's being said. Some of the stuff I do retain. A lot of the stuff I have learned already because they have been training me. But the knowledge that comes out is too rapid. So it just, yeah,
Wow.
it flies. It's
All right.
amazing.
What is your process of starting the channel? Like, what do you do to get focused or something?
Well, ascension is my highest passion. So the second that we start talking about anything pertaining to ascension or the crystalline DNA, my excitement automatically becomes activated, and my husband guides and properly attunes me to allow them to link in when they are ready. So I don't have to do anything. I just have to sit here and have fun. That's why I always say to people, I just have to just be me and just have fun, and they do the rest.
Oh, that's
So,
cool. All
yeah.
right. All right. Well, let's get started. When do you think that ascension will finally be completed?
Each individual is in their own independent timeline bubble. And so we co create according to our energetics and the type of energy cord processes that place us in the exact same moment, or the consciousness is linked, allowing us to co create together. However, for your independent reality, you are going to manifest your solar flare, or there's different ways of ascension. And that is according to your biological frequency as well as your energetic grid structures, which allows you to manifest your ascension. You have to be in alignment with your ascension. However, when multiple people come together in order to ascend and start placing conscious focus and attention on allowing that manifestation to come for all of humanity, it allows a power of three, as we know it, to become activated, thus allowing the shift for the entire human collective consciousness. So, as you see it, if you release your density and distortions and you focus on ascension, you are going to start to notice mirror reflections in your current reality, which then in turn shall start to manifest at a higher frequency until you automatically ascend, whether that be by a solar flare or by spontaneous evolution.
When will the entire planet just automatically ascend?
We are already noticing a shift on your planet right now. And so more and more people are starting to become spiritually aware. You can do things like cast. And so casting is when you take an emotion. The emotion has to be, I love and bless the entire human collective consciousness grids. And that emotion, along with the intent is an energetic casting. For your intent is a thought form, and thoughts are electrical in their nature. This electrical casts into the human consciousness grid, which then in turn starts to show you the reflection of what you, as the primary individual, are manifesting. So if your intention is to see evolution on the planet, you're going to start to see more and more signs and synchronicities that you are on the right frequency to allow that manifestation to come into your current reality. It is all a reflection of a frequency that is broadcast from inside of yourself. Coming together in co-creations is going to allow the reflections of yourself to become more aware and aware in a higher frequency, allowing the ascension to fully manifest.
What do the next 5 to 10 years on planet Earth look like to you?
To me personally, each person is in their own reality bubble. And so what that means is, and the star people are having me specifically step forward for this question because it's related to what I experienced. In my life, in my world, I'm seeing people with their extrasensory abilities is already here. I see people blowing the wind, changing the weather. I've changed the weather. I've made lightning bolts. I've seen other people do these things. I see people activating other people's extrasensory abilities by just opening the heart or even laying hands on them. I see these things right now. You and most people on the planet A lot of them are still in the 3D, the rat race, going to work, doing all the things that we were trained to do on this planet. But I'm telling you, it's two different realities. Your reality is circular in its nature. And so that is where your consciousness sits. You shift frequencies and timelines according to the squares that you put your circle in. Now, if your circle is telling you that extraterrestrials and all sorts of magical abilities are real, you're going to shift into a parallel reality in which you manifest that. Each and every one of us is in our own reality. Now, the second we come together, we co create. But the second you and I end the video, our realities split and we start to come back into our own energy fields. It takes a little bit of time. It's not right away, the star people are saying. However, it allows us to manifest individually as well as collectively. Collectively, if humanity comes together and we heal, this is another reason why shadow work and releasing the density inside of your energetic rich structures is important, because when you release the darkness, it allows the biological form to hold more light. When people come together to heal and they hold more light in the body, it allows for a greater shift into the higher frequency ranges, where an individual may then activate the crystalline DNA systems contain 365 abilities for each and every one of us to fully activate and manifest. The 365 are both physical and spiritual in their nature. One such example would be astral projection is a spiritual gift. A sense of magnetism is more physical in its nature. So you can sense when bad weather is coming. This is why you may feel aches and pains when bad weather is at hand. This is a natural, innate ability for each and every one of you. Also, we would like to mention that telepathy has been fully activated in the human consciousness grid structure. So many people may have started to notice that their intuition is becoming more activated. And this is because of the solar energetics that are currently in this reality. Now, some people who are in this reality who do not believe or do not know that these things are real, their intuition may be completely shut off. And so they're not in the reality that I'm in. They're in their own individual reality. That's how it works.
A lot of remote viewers are seeing a mushroom cloud. Do you know anything about that?
No.
Would the ETs or the star people allow World War III to happen on the planet?
There are dark dimensions. This is a choice each and every person has to vibrationally become in alignment with. They cannot and will not tell us that they are going to save every single person or every soul on the planet, because that's impossible. What it is each person is consciously aware in this current reality. Your consciousness has the ability to shift into a different reality. And so some people's consciousness will shift into a higher reality, but that physical body and that mind and that spirit is still in the current reality, but your consciousness shifts and it puts you in a parallel reality. So your consciousness, just imagine your higher self fractalized into hundreds of thousands of tiny little slipstreams. The slipstream comes through the top and it sits in the heart chakra. We're not fully, we are starting to activate, they're correcting my terminology. We are starting to activate the slipstream so that we can control the higher self and the consciousness, but it's not control in the sense as we see it. It's releasing resistance and allowing the control to happen or the higher self to manifest with us. Now, they cannot save all the soul forms, because in a parallel reality, I didn't make it. But I'm not consciously tuning into that reality. My consciousness is in a higher frequency.
I think it's pretty obvious that things that humanity do to the planet are not good for the planet. Why don't ETs step in and intervene to keep us from at least destroying the planet?
They are. However, the planet's an illusion. It's not real. It's not solid. When you shift your consciousness, and the shifts, it acts like a deja vu. It's a timeline shift. And so you can close your eyes and all of a sudden you can speak into existence. So let's take, for an example, I have a pencil, and then all of a sudden you close your eyes and you believe it and you shift, and then the pencil manifests instantaneously. The world outside that you see it is the same as that instantaneous manifestation. It's an illusion. So the second that we change our frequency, the world that we see changes. Now, there's 3 rings above the head. One is the binary codex frequency. It makes up your physical form. The secondary ring is your location frequency. It makes up everything that you see or like locations on the TV because it's in your current reality. And then the third ring is a civilization ring. That civilization ring can be changed or modified to allow a perception of a different civilization. So we can change any aspect to the simulation as we see fit by going inside and changing the internal circumstances, which has an effect on this ring structure. When we master all three rings, it allows our energetic grids to come into alignment and to activate. Normally, what happens after then is there is a 12-point Merkaba star above the rings. That is known as a soul star, is what the star people are saying right now. That soul star, when you complete your 12 experientials, 12 different experiences that you came to this planet to hold, or this lower frequency they are correcting. They're saying when those 12 experientials are fully healed with a negative, having the experience, neutraling it, it's okay that it happened, and holding light codes. I love and bless myself, even though I walk the darkness. It opens one of those points. You open 12, your biological form, as well as your light body inside of you, becomes number 13. Number 13 is the key to go through the Stargate and access 5D frequencies. We do not have to wait for a solar flash. We can go through, we can heal the traumas that are inside of us, which activates this star field or Stargate, and then we can ascend anytime that we see fit. Now, some ascension guides and channelers have been sent to your planetary system in order to be guides. And so they may have a slight blockage on ascending because they are meant to stay here and teach others to do the same.
You mentioned the word illusion and you also said simulation. So are you saying that this entire realm is just some simulated realm and reality is on the other side of the veil?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Now, we talk about error correct codes, and they're constantly training me with my personal behavior patterns to do error corrects. They're very specific with their terminology on this one. Now, our computer systems use Adinkra codes, and Adinkra code is an error correct code. So when the binary code of whatever that's in the simulation needs to be corrected, they use the Adinkra code. We can see those Adinkra codes in the solar system. This is the way the planets work as well. We can see the sacred geometry. It's the Fibonacci and the phi mathematical sequences. We can see it in every single living and non-living thing on the planet. And we can also take a look at the Roman Empire. The buildings that they built, when you look from a satellite perception, it looks like a computer motherboard. So it is all a holographic fractalized simulation in the sense in which the frequency inside of me, my consciousness, is reflecting outwards. Everything that you see around you is coming from a frequency inside of you. Now, I'm not saying that the holographic simulation should be treated like that because this is our real life. This is where we live. However, when we start to open up the possibility and the potential that if this is a simulation and mind over matter is real, which I know it to be real, then we can make changes or modifications to our lives. Many times this starts with self-love because love is the key. Love is the number 13 that casts us into 5D. When we have self-love, we make positive behavior changes. When we love the environment grows bigger. Look at what happens when people bless the plant. That plant grows 10 times the size. When we love the ocean may become cleaner. You may notice a company coming and clean up the plastic. This is the true potential of the human consciousness. But then when we raise our frequency, we'll eventually tune into 5D and we'll realize that we're all in heaven, so to say, and we've never really left. We just fractalized our light bodies down to have this human experience, which is a form of a simulation.
So you're saying that part of us is always on the other side?
Yes, always. That's what your higher self is. And your higher self is directly connected to the source frequency, which is the all, everything. Everything is made of ether, which is the source frequency. It's a frequency bandwidth that allows the physical matter to take on its shape and dimensions.
Are you using Danielle's body and I'm speaking to you directly, or are you communicating through Danielle's higher self and then it goes through Danielle?
They do both. And so it depends on how deep in the channeling that I get into. When I'm tuning into the quantum, usually it's my eyes are closed and it's a very high, very spiritual energy and you can feel it. Right now, it's more like trans channeling, and then my husband steps in. So he keeps stepping in, and then it's trans channeling when it's a larger group of knowledge coming out. So, like if it's I'm going to speak a paragraph, it's trans channel. If it's only a sentence, he's there coming in.
You mentioned dark realms. Are there some ETs out there that are malevolent?
It's only a manifestation. If you believe it, you will perceive it. So and we know there's light and then there's shade or there's darkness. So to see duality, we would have to recognize. Now, I also personally do attachment removals. So in attachment removal, there's energetic beings that latch onto our energy field. And what they do is they push toxic or low vibrational emotions inside of us to get us to fire off that emotion. And then they feed off of that energy. Those beings we call attachments, but the star people refer to them as messengers because each and every person is the source frequency. We are all a tiny little slither of that light known as God. That's okay too. Now, because that's who we are, the messengers come here, whether it be angels or it be dark messengers, they're all the same thing. It's just a frequency wave, and different beings are here to help us in our manifestations. So when we hold light codes and we hold love and bliss, we attract more angels onto our field. People know this, we recognize this, and we can accept it. When we hold the darker emotions and the density and the near death experiences, there is a whole range of death attachments that I've been trained to properly overcome and cast off of people. This happens when you have near death experiences. And so we go through and we discharge all of them and we recode the energetic field with love and light so that they cannot latch back on. But then go into the positive emotions. And I want you guys to say, I call upon whatever angel or I call upon the emotion of love, joy, and bliss. There's a messenger there who contains that emotion code. The more you summon that messenger of light, the more that light, that emotion is going to wash over your entire physical form, allowing you to raise your biological frequency and assist you in the ascension processes.
Are there any ETs living on the earth at this time?
I cannot answer that.
Okay. When will the ETs completely reveal themselves to mankind?
They already have.
In what way?
There's many people who have seen them. There's many people who are just like me having relationships with them. There's many channels who have had interactions. There's many people who have been up on their ships. There's many different experiences already here. It's already being revealed. It's been revealed to the governments at one point. That didn't go the way, well, he's correcting me. He's saying that went exactly as they had expected because they can see through time and space using their mental abilities only is the only thing that we will talk about. But he's saying now it's time to take their message directly to the people. So what they did was they implanted ascension guides all over the place. And so it's my dream. I hope that there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people just like me who are doing the right thing and telling people all this knowledge to raise a consciousness. Because the second the consciousness raises even a tiny degree, it brings more love to the planet and it shifts the potential of the planet back into a light, crystallized frequency range.
What about doing something that's obvious for everybody, like flying a UFO over the Super Bowl or landing a ship in Walmart parking lot or something where everybody sees it?
They've done it multiple times. And the news and the media has taken it down.
Can anyone connect with a galactic being? And if so, how would they do it?
So they wish to tell each and every person watching this video that the star people are ready, willing, and able to make communication with every single one of you. The voice inside of your mind, which you call your own voice, can be telepathic communication from the star people. The star people are multiple races from multiple planets who will band together in order to only assist in the growth and evolution of the people. They do not deal in any politics or space or none of that stuff. It's only evolution, it's only ascension. That's what they focus on. Now, if each and every one of us sits down and we start talking to the voice inside of our head, ask it questions. If you have to utilize a pen and paper, that's okay too. Write down the question, blank out your mind, and just ask the star people, thank you for giving me an answer that I need to hear. I did this when I was a child and I had no idea what I was doing. I wrote questions to myself, figuring I would answer myself. And I was a writer back then too. And the question was all, why are we here? The answer is to learn love. Why am I living this life? To learn to love myself. And that was all, every single answer that they gave me was all love based. It's very, very spiritual, very spiritual. Yeah.
Is that basically for every human? And what I mean by that is the reason that they come to Earth is just to learn to love.
That's it. Think about it from a magician point of view. And we'll use the word magician, but it's actually human or being, because all of us have these abilities. When we activate the 365 extrasensory abilities and you have access to everything that you need or want. So let's say you can manifest a house instantaneously. Let's say you can manifest your next meal instantaneously just by holding out your hand and here it's here. What's the next thing to do? Helping other people makes us feel good. And so the most exciting time for my star people is activating magical abilities, but then teaching other people how to activate magical abilities. That's why they come, because it's their highest passion to see us activate. Right? Think of how excited you're going to be when you can change the weather pattern. You jump for joy. I know, I've done it. And it's so exciting and so exhilarating. And it's like, oh my God, I actually did it. That's why they're here, because they want to experience that. And then they also want to help us to save the planet, because the planet here, the diversity of the animals along your planetary borders are very high value. Most other planets don't look like this. It's very diverse.
Can you give us some examples of some of the other abilities that we have?
Sure. So gravity, levity, those are two separate abilities. The ability to either lift or levitate something or make something move down, that's gravity, levity. We have time space abilities in which it comes from the 0 point, which is located inside of the heart chakra. That's when we're really sad, time seems to slow, but when we're very happy, time seems to go fast. That heart chakra is affecting the flicker rate. That flicker rate controls the simulation and how we perceive it. Now, the other abilities are telekinesis, teleportation, weather bending, but also sensing the magnetic grids. Making changes or modifications to your magnetic grid structure is going to allow the individuals to change the people, the civilization as a whole, allowing for the people to be happier or sadder. This is what we refer to as grid workers. And so a grid worker is an individual who may take their magnetic energy and cast it directly upwards into the human consciousness grid, allowing for frequencies to either raise or lower in the location. However, there's also chi energetic abilities. A chi energetic ability is more electrical in its nature. And so when an individual has a health imbalance, just say for an example, it is known as a distortion. That distortion needs more light to allow the frequency of the body to recode itself back into the binary codex frequency range. By being able to cast a chi energetic, it shall allow for more electrical current to be projected into the field, which then in turn is going to allow for spontaneous healing or recessions to manifest for you.
Are you aware of the alleged ET bodies that were shown in Mexico last week? And if so, are those real?
I don't watch the news. I don't even watch TV. I stay right here present in the moment. And so, like I was telling you, my reality is very magical. And it's not that I want to turn a blind eye to what's happening in the news, but I know and I recognize as a human being, when I put the news on, if that triggers fear, I'm adding more energy into that fear-based knowledge. Whereas if I turn the TV off and I stay in my reality, I do humanity a better service because I broadcast more love. So there's more light. I can affect the weather. We all can affect the weather by just staying heart focused and casting love and light into all that surrounds you. This is also a form of meditation because meditation is known to have an effect on crime, reduces tragedies, accidents, deaths, decrease when a person is in meditation. And that is specifically because that individual is connected into the source frequency, which allows them to broadcast a higher frequency into the surrounding location ring. Now, when we engage in lower vibrational emotions, whether it be triggered from the television, because your body does not know the difference between watching it on TV or watching it happen in real life. So when you see the car accident on the TV, your body sends an emotion. It's a body response telling your mind that, oh my God, I just saw a car accident. It doesn't know the difference between TV and real life. So when we see negativity, we are responding with our emotions. When we start holding love emotions 90% of the time, it puts you in a very high frequency of love and bliss. And then you start to notice instantaneous manifestation happening in your life. So the second that the star people guided me to learn and understand that, it made me, okay, I'm shutting down the TV. I'm not scrolling Facebook. I'm not scrolling TikTok. I'm really going to try my hardest. Not that I'm perfect, but I just try to stay centered on here in this moment. And then you know what? It's been working because I feel amazing. So
Is it possible that humans are trapped here and forced into a cycle of reincarnation over and over again?
that is a perception. That is knowledge that has been given to the person. However, that is if you believe it, then that's your reality. That is what you were sealing in. The truth of the matter is that we're all light beings. We are all source frequency or God. And so when your frequency raises to a certain degree, you break the shackles of any limitations that are here in the physical reality. That's the way that works. Now, just if, and the star people are saying to be very careful with the way this is worded, if there was any type of trap here, then this makes sense as far as the Starseed program. Because if there was a soul trap here on this planet, and they're not saying that there is, it makes sense to send in a group of their advanced healers and advanced knowledge bringers and advanced star seeds to allow the shift in the consciousness to fully raise and grow and evolve. Is how they would like to phrase that.
Do you know who built the pyramids?
There's many different realities. In one of those realities, you've built them. In one of the realities, I have. In another reality, another person has. It all depends on what frequency that you are holding in your belief systems. Now, just think for one moment, even the Bible speaks about moving mountains. Was the mountain ever real if you were able to move it? It's mind over matter. It is a holographic simulation of sorts.
Do the star people have some general message for humanity?
Yes. So their main message and goal is to get each and every one of us to open our hearts, to just feel the emotional love washing over your complete physical form. And just ever so gently, everyone watching, just take a nice deep breath in and out with an om. Om. They are stepping forward and doing a complete recalibration on your energetic grid complex. For each and every individual watching this transmission, they are opening and expanding your heart chakras. This may feel like a warm sensation in front of your heart. You may feel tingles. You may feel a tiny bit of pressure. This is all normal. When you expand your heart chakra, you open your soul form to direct contact and communication with your higher self. This contact and communication is going to allow you to make changes or modifications to your binary codex frequency, as well as assist you in timeline selection. For the emotion that you are resonating right now, currently in this moment, is the emotion that is going to assist you in what you see in the future. And so with that being said, dear ones, we just wish you many, many love and blessings. And thank you for shining bright. Thanks.
What do the star people think about Jesus, the Holy Spirit, and God?
It is a story or representation to give us hope, because the story of Jesus, he did many magical things. And so his book even tells us, as I do these things, so shall you. And so I was raised Catholic. So the second I heard that line, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not worshiping the devil or doing something illegal, right? In the spiritual realms, it made it okay. And so we can take different pieces of the Bible, because I don't know the whole Bible. I was a very unruly child. I didn't want to hear anything. But certain pieces stuck with me. And so when we have a look at what the things that he did and how he healed people, he even said, it is not me healing you. It is you in your belief systems healing yourself. And that's how the star people are training me. We can send love and light. We can cast the energetic, but the person has to be ready, willing, and able to receive it in order to be healed.
This is a light question, but what do star people do for fun?
They do this. All right. So there's probably like 100 of them in the room with me, and there's some surrounding you, and they've been doing energetic clearings on you before you even turn the Zoom on. They read all of our thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and then they learn from us. And then not only that, but a lot of starseeds, we're family. We came here with their support. So they're really watching us. That's what they do for fun. And then, of course, there's travel and leisure and visiting other planets and beaches and, all sorts of things. They also have families. They have babies. They have wonderful things to do. And They're telepathic in their nature, so they can contact you with just a blink of the eye, right? That's what they do.
In the realm that they're existing, are they just as physical as we are here?
There is a degree of physicality to them, but they are at a higher frequency range.
What is the best way for humans to raise their frequency?
There's many, many, many different tools. Not all of them are going to work for each person. However, some of the basics are eat light food. So if you're eating a plant, the plant has light. We can see this under different human or earth-based technologies. Now that's the plant's aura field. So we can all recognize it's alive, it has light. The second that you cook it, you're removing the aura. So if you're trying to raise your frequency, eating more light-based foods is usually the first thing. Blessing your water. I love and bless you, water. Thank you, water, for holding a higher frequency and allowing it to heal my body, mind, spirit complex. We should be blessing the water every single time because we know scientifically it generates a type of sacred geometric snowflake in the water, depending on what word or emotion we cast at it. And so those are two of the basics. Whatever we ingest, whatever we smoke, whatever we put on our hair, your hair is magnetic in its nature. So it, once again, we know that it's kind of like a tree trunk. It has different rings. The hair gets encoded with your emotions and stays there until you cut it. So when we start talking about having traumatic experiences, a fresh cut will remove some of that negative magnetism because it's an emotion. Now, whatever hair products that we are using on the hair, is of high value to make sure that they're organic and healthy and natural, because utilizing a negative or toxic product on your hair is going to change your magnetism, which changes your manifestation in the physical reality as you see it. And so really just focus on what you're engaging with. If you're watching toxic TV, turn it off. Actually, I even unplugged mine. So this way there was no frequencies radiating off the TV, even if it's unplugged. So just simple baby steps. Yeah. And be happy and smile and laugh. That's the most important.
On the other side, we're eternal beings, and there is no death like what occurs here. Is that correct?
That is correct. However, when you experience an actual death here, you may wake up in the bed the next morning and have it be a dream. So did you ever really experience a death? Is a bigger question.
Are you saying that when you physically die here, you wake up in another realm and you feel like this whole lifetime was just a dream?
You may wait. No. There's different expressions of it. There's dying, and then there's having the experience of going to heaven and your guides meeting you and all that. That's real for some people. But a near-death experience or even a death experience, sometimes you wake up in your bed the very next morning and you remember the death experience as if it was a bad dream. This is real. I know this to be a fact.
What about,
firsthand.
but what about when bodies die and they can't be resuscitated?
It's a parallel reality. So in a parallel reality, you have to see it as a singularity. So here's your current timeline, and then you have the near-death experience. There's two branches that come off of that near-death experience. One reality, you survived it. One reality, you died. So depending on which choice your higher self guides you onto, you'll remember it as either a near-death experience, or you'll wake up in your bed the next morning and you'll remember it as a dream. Or you could, your higher self will be like, that's enough. You're out of the simulation, and pull you back up. In that case, you wake up in heaven. Those are the three potentials. But in reality, they're saying that there's billions of potentials to experience. It doesn't always have to be. You could deja vu in now moment, they're saying. And that deja vu, you had a memory of dying. And then you're like, oh, I remember that, but that didn't happen. And that's because your consciousness shifted into a parallel reality.
Is the Mandela effect real?
It's very real because your memory grid complex controls the deja vu or the timeline selection process. Your memory grid complex holds all emotions and all thoughts in the now moment, which the second that you change the memory, you have a potential of changing the past. And we do this naturally, we just don't realize it. They say 75% of all memories are faulty. And so that means that everyone remembers differently, even if witnessing the same exact experience. So if the memories are faulty and it is remembered individually, that basically means that we are in our own timeline bubble. Our memories are our own. And so now we have to take responsibility for our memories. Your memories are thoughts and emotions. Apparently, we can't change the thought, but we can change the emotion. But the star people saying you can technically change the thought too, because you could think a certain way and then you could change it. And we change it by changing the belief systems. Okay, this was a bad experience, but all of a sudden, years later, that experience turned out to be a blessing. So you're changing the belief patterns to that thought, which changes it into a positive polarity. And your emotions, you feel the negative, you neutral it, and then you call in the light codes, you call in the positive. Thank you. Many love and blessings for giving me that experiential. And then all of a sudden, you are taking control of your memory grid complex, which puts you on the timeline that you are currently in alignment with. So when you change your memories, you can change the past, you can change the present, you can change the future. Those of us who come here to hold a very high frequency, we unlock the memory grid complex to such a degree in which we can change the now moment by closing our eyes. And this is only for start. In time, you'll be able to do it with your eyes open, closing your eyes, changing the memory grids, which then in turn shifts you into a parallel reality that you are more in alignment with because you changed the memory coding of the simulation.
Earlier, you mentioned something about 12 different things that we have to do or learn while we're here. Can you talk more about that?
Sure. Each person is encoded with 12, it's like trials or tribulations, they are saying. 12 experiences, or they call it experientials. Those 12 experientials are big. They're big life events. Sometimes an individual comes to this reality with one or more of them already healed. So, depending on the zodiac alignments and depending on what the higher self has magnetically attuned or ingrained into the individual's energetic grid complex, allows for these 12 points to either be open and unlocked or closed. If they are closed, that means that there is an experience that still needs to cycle repeat in order to allow the individual to release the emotions to that experience. And thus, when the emotions are fully neutraled, light coded, as well as feeling the dark, it completes a trinity. And that trinity unlocks that point that is above your head. When we unlock 12 of them, we are given the opportunity to completely bring balance and cohesion into the physical body, allowing us to become the number 13, which is the key. And that key enters through that Stargate portal, and it allows the individual to experience a 5D reality. Rainbow body of light shall soon follow.
Can you give us an example of one of those experiences?
Sure, absolutely. And the number one experiential that I personally had in my life was I was a cripple for about 12 years. And so I went through this entire experience. The experience was early in my 20s coming into the pain. And for 5 years it was okay. And then for 7 years it was turbulence in my life. But that made 12 years total in my personal life. I had to go through the complete emotion range of that experience. So that was it's okay to it's not okay to this is death defying to this is oh my God, this is gonna end me. I'm gonna always be a criminal. All of these different emotions, it's like an emotion range for the entire experience. And then you have to heal it all. So all the experiences with all the pain and all the agony and all that stuff, we have to go through and we have to neutral it. It's okay that it happened to me. It's okay that I was a cripple because this is what I learned, right? Use your belief systems to reprogram it, repattern it. And then I send my body love and light because I'm going to heal it now. And when you heal it, in 2019, I went from not being able to really walk. I was completely shifted. My spine was a mess. And then in 2.5 weeks, I had shut off all of my pain. So then I was able to slowly start walking again. And then I was running around like I was fine. It only took 2.5 weeks. So when we go in and we start doing the releasing of the darkness and we start neutraling everything, and we start, I love and bless your body, then all of a sudden your body can spontaneously heal. I'm living proof of that. So that's what we have to do for each experiential. Depending on what each person is magnetically encoded with at the time of birth. Some people are encoded with birth defects. That's an experiential. They have to go through and love it. They have to love themselves regardless of their limitations. Some people go through an experience of losing an arm. They have to love the entire experience. It opens that gate and then it allows them to rise. Now, of course, that's one potential for evolution. There's another potential in which solar flash comes and it evolves the entire species very rapidly. When the solar flash comes, it unlocks the Stargate so that we are free to pick and choose what frequency we wish to hold in the now moment.
Will the solar flash be coming anytime soon?
In your reality or mine?
In
In
mine.
my reality, quite possibly. In yours, you have to see where your reflections are. And the star people are stepping forward and they're saying, we're very, very selective on this question because you have to see where your reflections are. Are you seeing reflections constantly, speaking of a solar flash? Is that a hot topic for you? That's a reflection. So the more reflections you have, the more it is going to manifest into your physical reality. Don't stop talking about it. They're also saying, because the more people that you talk to about a solar flash, and the more people believe it's coming, it's going to allow it to manifest faster because it turns into a group manifestation.
After this lifetime on Earth, are you coming back again or are you finished with this planet?
I just play it the now moment by the now moment is how I do. I mean, I have a star man. I want to go have a family.
Yeah.
Right. So I want to experience every aspect of being with my star family, as well as I'm here to do this type of work on Earth. So I take both lifetimes very seriously. Years ago in 2019, I wrote in a journal when I was just learning how to channel. But I wrote down in a journal and I said, I am here to combine two lifetimes or two timelines into one. And so one timeline was my Earth life. And then my second timeline was with my starman. And so I currently believe that in my lifetime, in this physical form, I will either activate the extrasensory complete range. I know it's going to happen anyway, and I know I'm going to evolve. So, but I believe I'm here on Earth, and I believe there will come a time when I'm with my starman.
Do you have any memories of being an Arcturian and being blue yourself?
I had a dream once where I woke up in a stasis pod. And I slid the pod open and I sat up, and all my friends were around, but they looked like humans. They didn't look blue. So that's that. A lot of, I've also had this is another one of my 12 points experientials. I've had a memory imbalance, and it was in 2012. My memory was wiped down completely to a level 0. So I would be sitting here talking to you, and by the time you would say a sentence, it was completely wiped clean from my mind, and I was unable to reply. I went on like that for 6 months before figuring out how to adjust my frequency using free passes and then healing it.
Using free passes? What are those?
Yeah. Well, a free pass is like a tool. So a crystal, it gives us a frequency modification. It's like a free pass to manifest. All manifestations come from inside of ourselves. So when we learn how to be the frequency generator, the manifestation comes to us. Using a crystal is a tool to allow you to shift your frequency and allow the manifestation to come. So when my mind was at a certain degree, I used monoatomic elements, which are natural M state minerals, and the gold one in particular is the one I used. Now, gold is a superconductor of electricity. This is the reason that we use it in our computer systems. So when I started to ingest it, because it's something that you take orally, within 30 days, I noticed it was like a light bulb went off and I started to remember everything. It eventually leveled out. And then years went on because that was 2012. And then here in 2019, I stepped into channeling and all the things.
Well, star people, thank you so much for coming and sharing with us today. I wanted to ask Danielle about her new book. What is the title and where can people learn more about it?
Sure. So the title is My Ascension Guide, and it's actually on Amazon. I do have the digital copy on my website, daniellelipton.com, so you guys can see. But primarily, it's going to be door to or Amazon ship direct.
What's the book about?
It's about, well, it's actually an activator book. And so I've had people who are not spiritual and they pick it up and then all of a sudden they get sucked into it. They read a couple posts because it's written, each page is a post that I've written and put out on different topics. So you can just open the book to different pages, but it's all about how to ascend into 5D. And it's very, very logical. And the science is very like, here we're taking a metaphysical concept and we're grounding it into the physical world so that we can use it in real time. So all of the spiritual knowledge, if we can't use it in the physical world to make our lives better, then it should be shelved until we're ready for it. And so, but this knowledge that they've given me is all here for the physical so that we can take the book, read the post, and actually do something with it. And it helps us to raise and evolve our frequencies.
What is the name of your YouTube channel?
Tree of Life Organization. And I also have the webpage, treeoflifeorganization.com.
How did you
So that's like it's where all of the healers that I work with can come together, and then we express our web pages together.
How did you come up with that name, Tree of Life?
It was given to me, and it's a synchronicity. And I believe, and I know in my heart, that we are eventually going to have a Tree of Life organization healing center in which we're able to bring this knowledge to the public and have it be free so that they can come and they can listen to the science, the knowledge, and they can take away and they can raise and evolve. But it is also a healing center. And so we'll also have people doing advanced healing modalities, activation of the extrasensory grids, all sorts of things. So that is where I personally see my future going.
After watching this podcast, people may want to reach out to you and ask you questions. Are you open to that? And if so, how should they reach you?
You can go to daniellelipton.com because so many people ask me questions. I put a little send me a message little box. So it lets you click it and send an email right to me.
Perfect.
So, and then you can send all your questions. What I normally do with the questions I receive through the website, I make a list and then I do them on the live stream. Because when you ask one question, a brick of information, it's extensive. So it's easier to not type out all the answers. It's easier to speak it.
When do you have your live streams?
Every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 p.m. is the live stream. I also offer a complimentary Zoom session. So for that, you'd have to send me an email and then I send you the Zoom link. It's free to anyone who wants to come. But that is Tuesday and Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. till 9:30. Now, you also want to check my Facebook pages because if I'm ever not doing the live or the shadow work Zoom, I normally post on Facebook so people know we're not doing it tonight. So this way it's a schedule.
Well, before we finish up, can you leave us with one last positive message?
Sure. Let me see. So they want us to smile and shine bright. There is a connection, dear ones, between your heart, your solar plexus, the tip of the tongue, as well as the pineal gland. Different centers flower open. Your heart chakra flowers like this, your pineal flowers like this, the crown chakra flowers open like that, and your solar plexus pulls the energetic inward so it can cast what looks like a 3 throughout all 3 centers. When any individual becomes in alignment, this is a very love bliss based energetic frequency. You shall feel the energy rise up and you shall feel pressure at the top of your head. Doing a very simple Om shall allow that heart to expand, and then feeling the energy rising up is going to put you in alignment with the source frequency. When an individual becomes in alignment, it shall allow for experiences of a higher caliber to manifest for you. So you may be thinking of a friend, and then that friend may pop up in your reality almost instantaneously. We wish to recommend to each individual to become in alignment, for it shall allow for the contact and communication between your higher self to fully grow, cultivate, and manifest into your physical reality. When your higher self takes the seat in the heart and fully flowers open, it shall allow for you to be on your best and brightest potential timeline. And with that being said, we wish each and every one of you many, many love and blessings, dear ones.
Danielle, thank you for your message and thank you for being my guest.
Excellent. Thank you so much for having me. It was my joy, pleasure, and honor.
Thanks for watching the JeffMara podcast. I really appreciate you. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. And if you do, there are loyalty badges and other perks depending on your level of membership. All you need to do is click the join button underneath the video to find out more. Thank you for your support.